Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 34 of Into the Dungeonverse, the concluding and finale episode of our interactive quest for this season. Make sure you have your dice, your character sheets, your paper, your pencil, your coins, and randomization table so we can get started in just a moment. We'll refresh briefly over what happened yesterday and then we'll hop right into our quest. I hope you're as excited as I am to finish up this story today. Without further ado, let us begin. Last time on Into the Dungeonverse. You traveled to the first place you saved, a village that had been cursed by the Grey, cursed by the beast, which drained all life and personality, energy and individuality from it. You, however, eliminated this curse and saved them. To celebrate this, they created a statue in your honor. You had a moment to pose and to be available for measurements and inspiration, or you had a moment to turn away from the fame and the prestige. But now, forever, this statue is standing on that island in memory of you and what you have already done. But your quest is not yet over. You still have to slay the beast and eliminate the threat once and for all. You traveled back to the wise woman, and she gave you some critical information that you might have started to figure out for yourself already. But this quest is one that must be finished by you and you alone. Your companions may assist you leading up to the end, but you are the only one who can fully finish this. And this is how it has been ever since the sleepers have arisen. It is now your turn to finish this. After gaining this information, you set off with your airship Captain Remy to find where the beast had gone, or rather to go to where the beast had gone, for you had found its location. You collected yourself with your airship captain and prepared to leave. You left her home behind after refueling, resupplying, and restocking. And then you found the wake of the beast, the trail it had left behind. Make sure to check your character sheet and that you have everything you need, because from here on out, the quest continues. You traveled through the Dungeonverse to find the wake of the beast, the trail that it had left behind in the void, twisting amongst the Sky Islands. It was a slippery and terrible vortex that pulled rocks and islands in toward it, and you had a choice ahead of you, a choice left to you by Remy. You could either go quickly and travel through the vortex itself, having no idea how much damage you will take in the process, or whether you would make it at all. Or your other choice was to go around the long way and make sure that you got there in one piece. Remy left this decision entirely up to you. And this is where our quest continues. What choice do you make? Do you travel through the vortex, trying to get there as quickly as possible, knowing that time is of the essence? Or do you make sure to get there in one piece by traveling around and following the trail from the outside? Take a moment to consider your options here, as it will affect the fight that is about to come. Make your decision now whether you will travel through the vortex or on the outside. If you travel through the vortex, you and Remy are going to have to do everything you can just to keep your ship from running into the outside barrier. You can see rocks and islands that have been pulled into the vortex that reach the outside barrier are torn to smithereens as they are interacted with by these violent winds swirling about. You know that the ship takes damage as you travel through. It doesn't take enough damage for you to not make it, fortunately, and due to the piloting skill of your captain, but you can hear the strain and the groan and the effort that the ship makes just to remain intact as you travel through. The journey will be rapid, violent, and probably quite frightening, but you will make it to the island much earlier than if you had gone around. If you go around, it will be rather easy to find the path, as it's a large swirling red vortex in an empty void. It takes a long time to stay out of its pull and out of its current, because anytime you get too close, it would begin to drag you in. So it takes you quite a while, but you're able to get there without any issues and without any injuries or damage to the ship. This might be one of your last moments of peace and serenity as you travel through this space. Regardless of the path you take, either inside the vortex or outside, you will arrive at the island. Take a moment to record anything in your character sheet, and let us continue. When you arrive at the island, you can tell that this one has been conquered by the dungeon vs. tower itself. This is the new lair of the beast. This land is almost like a wasteland, similar to the one that you had visited before with Sasha, but different. It wasn't destroyed, it was just drained, as if the tower had accomplished its goal and had eliminated all life from it and drained the very essence of life from the crust of the earth itself. This was a terrible place, and you could tell the moment that you entered. You knew that the beast was near. You knew that it was time. You could feel the heaviness in the air. Take a moment to take stock of who travels with you now. Perhaps you took the once squire, now knight, along with you. Perhaps they will assist you in the coming fight. Perhaps you had them leave their page behind, or perhaps they are there carrying your supplies, nervous as can be. Remy is of course with you, flying the airship. She will stay with you throughout, as long as she can. If you received any items in a previous episode, it's time to note what their abilities are. The broom, of course, will allow you to fly and to travel upon it. The large seed that came in a bag with a shield, this is a special item. You may plant it and use it once during the following sequence. If you use it, it will protect you from all harm by growing a massive golden tree almost instantaneously. Use this only when your need is great. And let us continue on as you press forward into this land. The first thing you notice is the sound, as leathery wings beat against the air, making concussive thuds as large amounts of air itself is displaced to keep this massive creature in the air. You can see the beast is almost as large as a mountain as it lands astride the cliff itself. Its eyes glare at you with malice and evil intent, and you feel a familiarity. The curse that you felt every time before and the power that surges within you when you do resonates. You can feel yourself connected to the beast, and the beast seems to sense the connection to you. There's a moment of silence. The air is heavy. And then an earth-shattering roar erupts from this creature as it takes flight once more into the sky. The battle begins. You need to choose how you are going to respond to this. Remember that your allies are here with you and they can assist. You have several options in how you can start the conflict with the beast. If you have a broom that was gifted to you from the witch, you can fly up to it and battle it in the air. This is only available to you if you have that item. Secondly, you can have Remy force it to the ground using many of the new weapons that she has created under the guidance and tutelage of Daedalus, the engineer from Greece. She has created several different siege weapons which could be used to force it to the ground, allowing you to battle it hand to hand. Or you could jump off onto its back as you fly over, allowing you to attack it by holding onto the spikes that run along its massive spine. Or finally, you can keep your distance either in the airship or on the ground, attacking from a range using spells, ranged weapons like bows and arrows, or maybe even your blasters from Star Wars universe. Take a moment to consider which option you will choose, which fits your character, and which do you think will work best. If you need a moment longer, pause here as we're going to press forward to find the results and the difficulty. Difficulty and result. Let's start with the first option on the left. If you battle in the air, this will be on your broom, and you fail, you're going to lose 12 hit points as the beast slashes at you, smacks you, and batters you against the cliff face. If you succeed, you're still going to take 6 damage as the being around this beast itself actually causes you physical pain. It has an aura of destruction, and its strikes are quite ferocious, even if you dodge them, even if you only barely get hit. However, if you succeed, you're going to overwhelm it, perhaps zipping by, perhaps just totally outmaneuvering it, and you are going to be able to drive it up the mountain because it knows that it needs to get out of this space where you can move around, and you're going to see it start to climb up the mountain either by flight or by clawing up hands and feet. The difficulty for this option and the next option is hard. The next option is to bring it to the ground. This is having Remy assist you by using the siege weaponry she has mounted on the ship. If you fail, you are going to lose 9 hit points because it's going to be able to attack you since you're relying and trying to lure it down, lure it into a position where Remy can strike it. It's going to be able to attack you and damage you, giving you 9 hit points taken away. And you're going to have to try something else because it's going to maintain dominance in this position. So you're going to have to try one of the other options here and see if you can get something to change. If you succeed, you are going to see Remy drive it into the ground using the different, maybe she has trebuchets going off or a scorpion which fires a giant javelin. It's like a ballistae. It's going to drive it to the ground. You're going to see it plunge into the cliff face, sending rocks and earth flying everywhere. The knight will be able to assist you with any one of these as long as it's not flying in the air. So if the knight is assisting you, you can try again on one of these options. So if you fail one, the knight is going to give you a do-over, as he's able to assist you and support you in your pivotal moment. And so that is a hard difficulty for that one. Let's go to option 3. This is a crazy one where you're going to leap off of your ship and onto the back of the creature. If you fail, you're going to lose 15 hit points as you will be struck by the beast and dashed against the rocks because you're just flying through the air with nothing to protect you. We're assuming that you don't have the broom in this situation, or else you already would have flown up. But if you have the broom, you can tweak the narrative a little bit and maybe you can change options. If you succeed, you will still lose 5 hit points as you land on the beast's back. You will be cut, and remember, it just has this chaotic aura of destruction around it, causing you pain just by being near it. However, you will wound the beast, causing it to go up and land at the peak. You may either hop off of it and follow up in your airship or on your broom, or you can ride it all the way up to the zenith of the mountain. This difficulty is extreme, so this is extremely hard, unless you have one pretty rare perk, which came from a very specific episode. This bonus is Titan Rider. If you have Titan Rider, you can take the difficulty down from extreme to very hard, which is just over to the right of that extreme. Alright, and our last option is to stay at range. This is the kind of playing it safe option. If you fail, you're going to lose 13 hit points as the creature summons a chaotic orb in its mouth, launching it toward you or toward your ship, depending on where you are. You can choose if you're having a barrage come from the ship, or if you are attacking from the ground using your ranged weapons. If you succeed, you're going to lose 5 hit points as the creature will have a reflexive burst of energy that comes out from it whenever you strike it. However, it's going to see that you have an advantage here, and it is going to take cover up on the peak, so that way you can't hit it anymore. The difficulty for that one is very hard. Take a moment to roll and determine what the result is of your action here. Remember, on that second option, if you fail, you have to try something else to move forward. The knight can assist you by giving you a do-over on one of these, but once he does that, he will be fatigued and unable to continue in the fight. And remember that if you have that seed, you can plant it, grow a giant golden tree, and prevent yourself from taking damage once. Take a moment to roll and determine what your success is here, and then we will press forward in our conflict. As the beast flees upward towards the peak, you can be picked up by your airship. Remy will swoop low and allow you to grab one of the ropes and pull you up. Perhaps the knight assists you. Perhaps your automaton is on the rope, helping you up. But you get back onto the ship and you begin to ascend up the mountain. You can see the clouds are beginning to form and have already gathered at the very peak. They're rumbling and lightning is crackling between them. As you get further up, you can feel the air grow thin, and you see the beast waiting. It seems to have changed shape ever so slightly, becoming harder, its wings becoming more rigid, its glare becoming even more fierce. It's standing atop the cliff face, and you feel it. A moment of divine energy strikes you. When you traveled to Greece, you had a deity that favored you, either a god or goddess from the Greek pantheon. And in this moment, they return to you. They are going to lend you some power and some energy in this moment. You can decide what this manifests as, and what it looks like. For example, if Zeus was your patron, you might see lightning come out, giving you extra damage or making it easier for you to land one of your attacks. Perhaps your patron was Hades, and this is going to allow you to avoid damage or maybe only take half, depending. This is up to you to flavor it. So what was your deity? What one favored you? And how do they help you now in this moment as you square off against this creature at the top of this mountain, apparently the throne of this world? And then you must decide how you will proceed. Now I need you to know here that if you traveled through the vortex, this is where the damage is going to take place. Your ship has been holding it together, but as you start to reach the peak, it's going to and it's going to start faltering and banking off. You will have to bail and land on the peak to get there, while Remy will shout out to you, "I'll get it back going, I'll get it repaired, I'll get back, just hang on," and the ship will bank off into the clouds. If you did not travel through the vortex, the ship will still be intact and able to assist you in this part of the conflict. Now, let's see what our options are as we face it upon the throne of this world. The battle on the peak. Will you attempt to bring a cliff down on it, having it run into the cliff, or perhaps attacking it with spells or explosives? Will you attempt to ram it off the mountain, either using the airship if it's still intact, or using your massive strength or magical powers? Will you engage it in melee combat, drawing your weapon and facing it in hand-to-hand or close quarters combat? Or finally, will you bombard it with everything that you have, using the siege weapons, your magic, your ranged weapons, and anything at your disposal? Take a moment to consider your option. How will you slay the beast? How will you take it down? If you need a moment longer, pause here as we continue. Difficulty and result for the mountainside battle. You can bury it in rocks. If you bury it in rocks, the difficulty for this is very hard, unless you have the Use Your Environment perk, in which case it'll take it down to a difficulty of hard, which is just 2 over to the right on the screen. If you fail, you are going to take 12 damage to your hit points as you are crushed by rocks yourself and sent tumbling down the cliffside toward the ocean. You'll see the beast barreling down after you, mouth open. If you succeed, you will still take 4 damage as you're damaged by the chaos aura around the beast or by some debris as the rocks shatter and fall, but the beast will be buried on the cliff, and then you will hear the cliff crack and rupture as it slides down, sending the beast tumbling towards these massive waves that lay below. Our second option is to knock it down, either using your strength, a spell, or if the airship is still intact, trying to ram it off. If you fail, you're going to take 14 hit points of damage, and the beast will throw you from the cliff, just kind of using your momentum to send you downward into the ocean. You'll be flying through the air, and it'll plunge in after you, closing its wings to increase its velocity as it follows. If you succeed, You will take 3 hit points of damage. However, the beast will be sent tumbling down the cliff, rolling head over tail, over claws, over massive mouth as it goes tumbling down the cliff, leaving these huge, earth-shattering divots in its place. This difficulty is extreme. This is incredibly hard because this creature is massive. But you might be the hero that can do that. Next is our close quarters clash. This is where you engage the creature in hand-to-hand combat or with your melee weapons. If you fail, you're going to lose 15 hit points as the beast claws and slashes you and bites you until you go falling down the cliff, succumbing to the pain of your wounds. It will prowl after you, plunging into the ocean after you as you fall in. If you succeed, you're going to still take 8 damage, a fair amount, because just battling this close to it and having that sort of encounter is incredibly tough and hard to survive. But you do it, and in the process, with a mighty blow, you break off one of its horns, causing it to soar upwards, spinning into the air and then falling, plunging point first into the very peak of the mountain. The beast will be wounded, and it's going to roar in pain before it turns and dives down into the ocean, having a massive concussive splash as it plunges into the depths. The difficulty for this one is hard. And then finally, a ranged bombardment, unleashing everything that you have on the beast, attempting to just destroy it with overwhelming firepower. If you fail, you are going to take 10 hit points of damage as you are going to be caught in the bombardment as well. Perhaps you're luring it into position, perhaps you're trying to strike from another way. You will be damaged by it. And you are going to be sent flying into the ocean along with the beast, it clawing at you, slashing at you, and biting at you as you fall through the air, debris everywhere. If you succeed, you're only going to take 2 hit points of damage, so the least amount that you can take, and the beast will be blasted away along with a whole chunk of the mountain. And this difficulty is medium. If you have the ship intact, that is the easiest option. However, if you don't have the ship intact here, you are not able to do the ranged bombardment, and you are not able to ram it off. You can try pushing it off, it's still extremely hard. So this is one of those options that if your ship is damaged, you cannot do this. If Remy has sailed away to fix it, you are unable to use the ranged bombardment. So take a moment, roll, and determine the results of your battle here atop the cliff before we plunge ourselves into the icy depths of the ocean below. As you fall down toward the ocean, you see a massive maelstrom in the distance, a swirling of clouds in the ocean itself. This is where the beast is fleeing to. This is where you are being drawn toward. The waves are violent, frantic, and frenetic as they crash against each other with a chaos only matched by the dungeon verse itself. You go deeper and deeper into the depths, and you can feel that even though you are low below the water, and you can feel that even though you do not have air for your lungs, your magic, your power is protecting you, preserving you, and keeping you here. You're going to see Remy's airship pushing in toward the maelstrom, trying to keep up with you, trying to catch up with you, but being pushed back by the winds. And you know that this is the final step. This is the final stage. This is what the wise woman had told you about. This is the part where you must go alone. What do you choose to do here? Do you give a farewell to your friend as she yells for you from over the side, trying to get to you, yelling that she's coming? Do you send her off, or do you just disappear into the depths? This might be your final moment to interact with her. Make a decision before you plunge deeper into the ocean. As you float in the dark depths of the ocean, you see a shape rise up. Those same evil eyes glaring at you, but the body has changed. It has shed its wings, and it has changed its shape. and it appears to be more ferocious and more lean than even it once was. Now is the time to face your destiny. Now is the moment of truth. You square off against the beast, and then it charges, mouth open, water rushing into it as it plunges straight towards you through the darkness. What will you do? Will you defend against its onslaught, attempting to stop it where it is? Will you charge back at it, roaring with all your might? Will you let it swallow you and accept what is to come, knowing that this is the end? Or will you dodge and counterattack it when you have the proper moment? Take a moment to consider how your character will attempt to conclude this fight, how they will attempt to fulfill their quest. Will they defend against its onslaught, charge back at it, let it swallow you, or will they dodge and counterattack at a pivotal moment? If you need a little bit longer to decide, go ahead and pause. Otherwise, we press onward. Difficulty and result. If you are defending yourself or returning the charge, the difficulty is very hard. Let's start all the way on the left and see the results of this final action. If you fail, you're going to lose 15 hit points. The beast will assault you and prepare to strike again if you have not already been defeated. If this has taken you down past 0 hit points, you will awaken at the beginning of this day as you travel through the wake of the beast. If you succeed, you will block the attack. You will find an opening, and you will know the time to unleash your power is nigh, and it will burst forth like great river from a dam. If you return the charge and fail, you will take 20 hit points of damage as the beast charges through you, slashing deeply and preparing to strike again if it has not already slain you. If you succeed, your charge will be met with success as you will slip in and strike it just before it has a chance to sink its fangs into you. And as you strike, your power will be summoned and released in the moment of contact, plunging into the beast. If you accept your fate, the difficulty is medium, as your power will surge within you. But this has a lot to do with your faith, your strength of will. So if you fail, your faith is misplaced, and you will succumb to the darkness as you are consumed by it. However, if you succeed, your power will activate as it was meant to, and the beast will never even reach you. Its mouth will stop feet away, and it will freeze as a light emanates forth from you and consumes it. If you dodge and counter, you fail, you will lose 12 hit points. You will be struck and unable to retaliate. It's going to circle back around to strike again. If you succeed, you will counter masterfully and activate your power at that pivotal moment, striking it in a key weak part of its body and slaying it as light emanates forth from your blow. The difficulty for this one is hard. If you failed any of these and you are still alive, you have another chance to try again until the beast defeats you. Take a moment to roll and figure out what happens here. What is the result of your action? Are you successful or did you fail? If you need a moment longer, pause here. Otherwise, we must inevitably press forward. As the light surges forth from you and the darkness from the beast emanates and clashes, they meet until the two become one, and then you see the darkness begin to fade as the body of the beast is no longer, and it separates and dissipates out into the ocean. You hear one last growl, and then almost like a whimper, as it fades out of existence and into the depths of the ocean itself. The beast has been defeated, and it fades. As do you. Your vision begins to flicker, and your power fades as it is no longer with you. Your eyes begin to close. Your vision blacks. Perhaps you see the shape of an airship above the ocean as your hands reach out, clawing for the surface. But then, there is nothing. Only darkness. Only silence. Only you. You'll stir for just a moment. Your eyes will open. You'll feel a sense of familiarity. You'll hear the creaking of metal. You will find yourself sleeping in a cage, hanging high above a cavern floor, before you fall back asleep once more. And we will end our session and our story there for now. Thank you for being here and for being a part of this quest. I hope you enjoyed this experience as much as I did. We appreciate your service, Sleeper, and we will await when you awaken once more. I hope you have a fantastic day, and we will catch you on the next quest, whenever that may be.